Welcome back to The Explainer. Listen, today, things are getting deeply personal. If you run a business in the Philippines, you already know the quiet sacrifices it takes. You know the crushing daily pressure, the sleepless nights, and that overwhelming weight of the daily grinds that, honestly, nobody else really sees. You're constantly putting out fires, you're managing people, and you're just trying to keep the lights on. Well, today's Explainer is rooted in an open letter written directly to you. It's a message full of profound empathy, but more importantly, it offers a surprising lifeline that could completely change how you run your day-to-day operations.
Dear Filipino business owner, I see you. It's such a quiet, simple phrase, isn't it? But it cuts right through all that standard corporate jargon. It just immediately acknowledges the sheer, raw willpower it takes to keep a company afloat day in and day out. Because before we dive into strategies or profit margins or operations, we really just need to pause and recognize that immense effort. And that feeling of validation? That is exactly where our journey begins today.
All right, let's get into Section 1, the unseen weight, carrying the daily grind.
We are talking about those early mornings, long before the sun comes up, and the late nights when everyone else has already gone home to relax. We're talking about that very familiar heavy knot in your stomach when you're scrambling to meet payroll at the end of the month. You know, making absolutely sure everyone else gets paid before you even think about paying yourself. Then there are the regulatory requirements which seem to just magically multiply in your filing cabinets like rabbits. Add to that those demanding clients who want absolute diamond quality but expect to pay a dirt cheap budget. But honestly, the heaviest burden of all? It's that profound quiet weight of knowing your employees, and by extension their families, depend entirely on you to put food on their tables. It is a massive, exhausting load to carry every single day.
So let's pivot a bit for Section 2, the big reframe, going from burden to solution.
Now, before we start throwing around any grand advice on how to fix all these struggles, we have to anchor this conversation in a very critical number, 25. This is not some theoretical, textbook advice from someone sitting in a comfy ivory tower who has never balanced a chaotic P&L statement. No, this perspective comes from a quarter century of working side by side with business owners just like you. It's built on 25 years of seeing exactly what causes companies to buckle under market pressure and exactly what makes them successfully adapt and thrive.
And here is the massive perspective shift. Sustainability is not another burden. It's actually a way out. Just let that sink in for a second. Look, usually when we hear the word sustainability, we roll our eyes, right? We instantly think of more paperwork, higher compliance costs, and massive extra headaches that we literally do not have the time for. But based on 25 years in the trenches, we've actually got it entirely backward. Sustainability is not a weight to add to your already exhausted shoulders. It is a highly effective tool designed to remove the weights you're already carrying.
Which brings us nicely to Section 3, solving the daily grind through practical sustainability. So how does this actually look in the real world? Let's break down your daily headaches. If sky-high energy bills are taking a massive bite out of your hard-earned margins every month, a sustainable approach to efficiency isn't just a cute PR move. It literally reduces those overheads and puts cash right back in your pocket. Constantly blindsided by unexpected regulatory fines, while integrating sustainability proactively prevents them from happening in the first place. What about when major clients suddenly start demanding your ESG metrics before they sign a contract? A sustainable strategy satisfies those demands and locks in the revenue. If your absolute best workers are quietly looking for a better corporate culture, running an ethical business retains that top talent. And if there are simmering community tensions around your operations, genuine sustainability resolves them. This isn't charity, folks. This is a practical, operational toolkit for your survival. Let's move on to Section 4, amplifying your purpose, remembering why you started.
Look, you probably didn't start your business to save the planet. And you know what? That is perfectly okay. You started it for incredibly noble foundational reasons. You wanted to build something from the ground up with your own two hands. You needed to provide a good, secure life for your family. You had a burning desire to create a product or service that simply did not exist before you made it, to give people in your community reliable jobs, and to serve your community's needs. The beautiful thing is, sustainability, when you execute it correctly, doesn't contradict a single one of these fundamental goals. Actually, it protects them.
Instead of forcing you to abandon your gritty, original business goals just to go green, sustainability actually supercharges them. It turns your business into a magnet for 4 key groups:
You naturally draw in better clients because, hey, they're increasingly demanding responsible supply chains. You attract top-tier workers, especially younger folks who desperately want to work for a company with an actual purpose. You appeal to investors because smart capital is rapidly flowing toward lower-risk, highly sustainable companies. And you win over your local communities, earning that social license to operate without all the friction. It makes your business vastly more attractive, resilient, and profitable across the entire board.
Which brings us to a harsh reality in Section 5, the cost of waiting, and why the timing never feels right.
There is just a stark, undeniable contrast between businesses that wait and businesses that act. Think about the camp that says, you know what, we'll deal with sustainability when things finally settle down. Let's be real for a second. When has business ever truly settled down? You fix a supply chain issue and boom, a piece of equipment breaks. You hire a great manager and a key client pauses their contract. The reality is the company's waiting for that magical, quiet Tuesday. They are still waiting, or worse, they're permanently closed. Now compare that to the businesses that started today, completely imperfectly, with whatever limited resources they had. They are the ones still standing, still growing, and still thriving. Waiting for the perfect calm in the chaotic world of business is a fatal trap.
And that leads us straight into our final section. Start imperfectly today, making one decision.
Let's relieve some of that anxiety right now. Let's cross off what you absolutely do not need to get started. You do not need to commission a massive 200-page ESG report full of corporate buzzwords that no one is going to read anyway. You don't need to hire a dedicated, highly paid sustainability team. You don't need some expensive, certified consultant. You definitely don't need to uproot your operations into a futuristic green building with living moss walls, or even install a single solar panel on your roof. This list of intimidating, expensive prerequisites is usually what paralyzes people. It stops them dead in their tracks, so clear it entirely from your mind.
The only thing required to begin is just one decision, a conscious choice that your business, the exact same business you poured your literal blood, sweat, and tears into, is going to be part of the solution. You don't need endless resources, you just need a shift in mindset to look at your waste, your energy, and your people a little differently. And it doesn't happen someday when the stars perfectly align. It happens today, right where you are.
So, as we wrap up this explainer, I really want to thank you for joining me. But more importantly, I want to leave you with one final thought to chew on as you step back into running the business you built. We've talked about the heavy burdens you already carry, we've explored the highly practical solutions that can actually lighten that load, and we've seen the very real danger of waiting for perfection. So I have to ask, will your business be part of the solution today? Don't wait for perfect, start imperfectly, and just keep building.